Okay, so let's just get right into it. We have been told our entire lives that if we just explain ourselves, if we just give our reasons, people will understand and everything will be fine. But what if that's a complete and total lie? What if the very act of defending yourself is actually you surrendering all of your power? Today, we are going to unpack a pretty radical idea. To really hold your ground, you have to stop explaining yourself.
Just let that one sink in for a second. This single idea, it flips everything we think we know about handling criticism or conflict completely on its head. The second you start justifying, you've already lost the game.
So, if defending ourselves is the wrong move, that brings us to the really big question, right? What's the right one?
And here's the thing. The answer isn't about getting louder or more aggressive or coming up with some perfect argument. No, it's about a fundamental shift in strategy. It's a move away from being reactive and defensive to being in absolute control of the entire interaction.
But first things first, we have to understand the trap itself. This urge we all have to defend ourselves. It feels so natural, it feels so right. But in reality, it's a psychological trap that's been set. And worse, you're the one who willingly walks right into it every single time.
This courtroom metaphor is just perfect. Seriously, think about it. The second you say, no, wait, that's not what I meant, you've accepted their accusation as valid. You've sat down in the defendant's chair, put them up on the judge's bench, and handed them the gavel. You just gave them all the power.
And this whole idea of them being the judge and you being the defendant, that's all about a crucial concept called the frame. See, every single conversation you have has one. It's the unspoken power dynamic, the invisible set of rules that determines who is in control.
Now look at this contrast here. When you're defending yourself, you are agreeing to play inside their frame, by their rules. The real goal, the winning move, is to never step into their frame in the first place. Or even better, you make them step into yours.
So why on earth do we do this? Why is this instinct so baked into us? Well, it all comes down to programming we got as kids. You learned very early on that if you could just explain to a parent or a teacher why you did something, you might get in less trouble. The problem is, as adults, we keep doing it. We keep putting everyone else in that judge role, pleading our case to people who have absolutely no authority over us. And frankly, it just screams weakness.
You know, Machiavelli famously said it's better to be feared than loved. A more modern way to think about that is this. It's so much safer to be respected than it is to be understood. Chasing after understanding, it just makes you look needy. But commanding respect, that makes you powerful.
All right, so enough about the problem. Let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. We're going to look at 3 practical, almost sneaky Machiavellian techniques you can use the very next time someone tries to put you on the defensive.
Here they are, your new toolkit. Number 1, the void, which is basically weaponized silence. 2, agree and amplify, which is a kind of verbal aikido. And 3, the reframe, where you become the one analyzing the questioner.
Let's start with the void. We're talking about pure, powerful, weaponized silence. When they throw an accusation at you, you just give them steady eye contact and nothing else.
See, most people are absolutely terrified of silence in a tense situation. It creates this psychological vacuum. And by refusing to fill it, you force the other person to deal with the awkwardness that they created. You'll be shocked how often they just start rambling trying to fill the space and end up defending themselves to you. An attack needs a target to hit. When you offer nothing, their accusation just, poof, it disappears into thin air.
Okay, on to technique number 2, agree and amplify. This one is like verbal aikido. Instead of blocking their attack, you grab its energy and you pull it forward, exaggerating it until it just becomes totally absurd.
So, let's say someone hits you with this classic one. You're so greedy. The normal response, the one we're all taught, is to list all the ways you're not greedy. But we know that's the losing move.
So, the Machiavellian response? Greedy? I'm trying to buy the moon. Now, what does that do? It instantly shows them you are not the least bit insecure about their comment. You've just turned their weapon into a joke, and in doing so, you've shown them who is really in control of the conversation.
And finally, we have the most advanced technique of them all, the reframe. You have to remember, the person asking the questions is always the one in control. This move completely flips that dynamic on its head.
Okay, let's see this in action because the power shift here is just incredible. The accusation is simple. Why are you always so late? The typical defensive answer, oh, there was traffic, right? That immediately accepts their frame, that you've done something wrong. But watch what the reframe does. Why does my arrival time affect your mood so deeply? Whoa. See that? Now the spotlight is on their emotional state. They are now on the back foot, needing to explain themselves. Game changed.
Now, I have to be really clear about something. None of this works if you're just, reading lines from a script. If you're shaking on the inside, if your voice is trembling, you've already lost. This isn't just about tactics. It's about mastering your own inner game.
And this right here, this is the absolute heart of it all. An accusation only stings if, deep down, some little part of you is afraid it might be true. If someone calls you lazy and you get defensive, it's probably because you're touching a hidden insecurity you have about being lazy.
So, the most important point is this. The ultimate defense isn't some clever line. It's knowing yourself so completely, your strengths, your flaws, all of it, that nothing anyone says can possibly shake you. When you've already accepted your own imperfections, nobody can use them as a weapon against you. They've got no ammo.
So how do you start building that kind of inner strength? Well, it takes practice. So I want to give you a simple, practical challenge that you can start doing like right now.
We're going to call it the no defense game. For 1 week, just 7 days, you are not allowed to explain or justify yourself for anything. If you're late, you just say, I'm late. If you make a mistake, you say, I made a mistake. That's it. And I'm telling you, it is going to feel so uncomfortable at first. Your only job is to just sit with that feeling and let it pass. Because ultimately, this isn't just about winning arguments or looking powerful. It's about finding out who you really are underneath all those layers of social conditioning. Which leaves us with one final and I think really powerful question. When you finally strip away that constant performance, that deep need to be understood and approved of, who's actually left? That is the person you're really looking for.